PT. So PT being the demo for Silent Hills, effectively. The context here, and I think most people know about it, but it is quite a funny one where, Konami basically had a Silent Hills game in development with Kojima, and it was going to star Norman Reedus. They just shadow dropped a demo, and it's basically just a room, and it's a real small snippet of what the game was going to be. And, it was built as an interactive teaser rather than them releasing a teaser itself. So this experience was on the store, massive amount of reactions to it, people really getting into it. And then with all the fallout with Konami and Kojima, and, we won't get into that now, but there was massive fallout between those two parties, and they pulled this demo or this teaser from the store. And then now people are in this mad scramble to, maintain this teaser because, to preserve it. And what people discovered was you could actually transfer it to a PS5 and it would work on a PS5. So people had it working on a PS5, and then there was an update that was pushed just the other day. So these are on review, obviously, review units of PS5s. There was an update that Sony had to the firmware to the PS5, and all of a sudden PT no longer worked. And by the way, yeah, you can't download PT, obviously, because Konami has pulled it. So Sony had to come out and explain why, and they just described it as a publisher decision. So Konami has pulled PT from even being able to be playable on the PS5. So it's not even downloadable. It's just the people who have had it on their PS4 can actually put it on the PS5. So what did you think about this Konami move?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to also mention how influential PT's actually been. So not only has it been a huge influence on independently developed horror titles that generally come out on PC and Steam and that, but it's very possible, I don't know if we ever had confirmation that it also influenced the decision to make Resident Evil 7 first person.
Oh, interesting.
That was a lot of the discussion at the time, but, again, who knows? Like, games take a long time to develop, so. But yeah, in terms of this move, like a lot of things, I'm in two minds. First of all, Konami's in their full right to do this, right? It's not
correct.
This game was a demo for another game that never happened, and a game that also has, it's a sore spot for Konami. I imagine anything to do with Kojima around that time frame.
Oh yeah, they hate him now.
And the fact that he also went on to do Death Stranding with Norman Reedus. And they have yet to release a new fully fledged Silent Hill game since then. So they, or many games since then.
Or any, yeah, right. Yeah. Or practically any good game.
But at the other side is obviously, caring about, people that actually like this. It's not a long game. And chances are, look, anyone that wanted to play PT and experience everything that's in that, that demo has played it by now. There's also people that have made, like, I don't know if they've been taken down, I don't know if Konami cares, but people have made like Unreal Engine PT versions of PT that are playable on PC, so there's ways to play it outside of that. Obviously not 100% accurate probably, but pretty close. But the thing is that obviously it sucks that it's something that was just doable, and it's just a publisher decision to remove it. So, from a conversation standpoint, it kind of sucks, but it's kind of like, well, you can still play it on your PS4. I don't think it's honestly a huge deal, but it is Konami kind of just being Konami and just being a bit of a bitch about
it. Yeah, and just looking at like Konami's output for the last like 5 years, dude. Like, it's bloody woeful.
It's almost like we had a whole segment talking about Konami in the early episodes.
I know. But just revisiting it, it's just like, it's quite shocking,
What episode? I'm just looking at what episode we talked about, if anyone wants to hear.
It's quite early on, I think. It was one of the first 5, I reckon.
Yeah. You keep talking, I'll find what episode it was.
Yeah, so like, I'm kind of in the same camp as you, where it's totally up to them if they want to do this. Like, do I think it's like, do I see a situation where they say, oh, we couldn't even be bothered instructing Sony to not have it on the store? Yeah, totally. I could just see them saying, well, you can't even get PT anyway. It's not like new people are downloading PT because you literally have to transfer it over for it to even work.
So
but it just
we talked about it on episode 3, which is the first episode that got put up on YouTube. Although I don't know if we've got a clip for that particular segment, but
no, we do because
okay.
what I did was I got the Konami video conference from E3, the really crazy one that they had. That's the B-roll
good.
for it.
So good.
I actually rewatched that whole thing because it made me laugh so hard. But yeah, like, you know, outside of releasing what Super Bomberman R, they really haven't done anything for a long time, and just, you know, the anniversary collections to make money.
Well, they announced some stuff during the Tokyo Game Show. I think they're making some anime action RPGs and stuff, but
sure.
nothing that's gonna, you know, like excite the industry or sell.
Yeah, and let's not talk about Konami again because I could go down that rabbit hole. But PT, I'd never played PT, and I actually was like, okay, I'll watch a trailer for it. Like, sorry, not a trailer, a gameplay, like someone playing it on YouTube. And man, that game is freaking scary as hell. Like, and I never really knew that much about PT, but, you know, playing Resident Evil 7, it feels very much like the same thing. So I didn't know the influence as much as like what you're saying. So
the likely influence, I'm not going to say it's 100% confirmed, but the likely, the really cool thing about PT is to even complete it properly. It's like it's some like 4-4 breaking stuff. You've got to speak into like a microphone. Like, it's crazy. Like, you've just how much they packed into that little playable trailer. Like, I don't. You know, Kojima helms that trailer, but I can't say, you know, if that was all, you know, his cool ideas or what. Obviously, he's very, you know, much into 4-4 breaking with, you know, Metal Gear Solid and everything like that. But it was just, even to complete it was just crazy. Like, you love hearing about when something comes out and no one knows how to do anything. And so people, like communities on the internet, get together and they try to figure it out. Like Fez, like the puzzles in Fez, people like trying to brute force stuff, and then, you know, they come up with all these ways to try to, as a community, solve these puzzles. And that's what PT was during the first week of its release. So it was really cool. So it sucks that Konami have done this, but it's also, I mean, if they had done this to a fully fledged title that people had paid money for, I'd be way more annoyed.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. And I think the fact that it was just a teaser, it wasn't even like a demo really, it was just a teaser for the game.
Yeah.
It just like almost a concept of like a, you know, vertical slice for the game. And it was like, because it is such a small like part of the game in a way, like what they actually had.
Well, it probably wouldn't have, that whole part wouldn't have been in the game. It's more like, yeah, exactly. Just as you said, like even a vertical slice is hard to say, because vertical slice usually assumes that kind of it's taking something from the game, you know, like, and representing it. This, we don't know. Like, we have no idea what Silent Hills would have been. So, yeah.
Yeah, and looking at the timeline, so that's August 2014 when it was publicly released, PT. And then Resident Evil 7 came out like 3 years later, almost. Probably did have a bit of an influence on it, to be honest.
A lot of people talked about it back then, but I just don't know if it was ever officially confirmed. I don't think Capcom would come out to confirm it if it was the case, but yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, because they were making Resident Evil 7 before that game, but you do wonder sometimes, you play that and then you go, oh, that's a pretty cool thing. Like, we need to add that, you know, and that's the game making. Like, that's what it's all about. So it is spooky as hell. You know, I don't know, man. Scary games, horror games. I struggle, dude. Seriously. I watched that PT gameplay. I wasn't even playing it. I watched it. And then I went downstairs and I couldn't find my son. I was like, where the hell is he? Where's he? Like, you know, and he's like 3. And I opened the pantry and he was hiding behind the apron, but he just moved around really slowly. And it actually literally gave me a shock, like a fright. Like, I was like, oh shit. Like, and then I was like laughing my ass off so hard with him. And he was like laughing because he thought, well, he did scare me, you know? So I'm, you know, pretty weak when it comes to horror games. Like, it's freaking spooky as hell. And my wife's even worse. She watched like the start of Resident Evil 7 where there's no jump scares. There's nothing, right? And I'm like, watch this. It's so freaky, this game. It's like ominous. And she started watching it and she's like, I can't watch it. It's too spooky. Like, just the way they build it up, like, you know, it's so artful. Like it's the same way as I love like vintage horror films where it's playing into your expectations about what's going to happen and when they're going to scare you. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what's scary
I
about it.
remember when they first released the demo of Resident Evil 7, the VR demo, and
Oh,
essentially
far
you're
out, dude.
strapped to a chair in that demo in VR, and there's like a person that goes behind you
Oh,
that's
God.
like covers your eyes, and then like, oh my god, like watching people like in VR react to that, I'm like, oh, screw that, I'm never going anywhere near that. Just give me Astrobot in VR, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, there's only two VR games I want to play, which are Astrobot and Half-Life Alyx. And Resident Evil 7 is always one like it would be cool, but I can't even play it on the PC. like, like I just think the VR thing that would just spook the hell out of me too much. Yeah, and again, like going into a like a pretty heady topic.